G'day, we've got some new contributors to the Racetrack Ralphy app, one of them being Jamie Mayhew Sharp. And Jamie, you're the South Australian specialist. What can you tell us about yourself first?
Top bloke.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You rate yourself, that's a good start.
Good start.
You realise most people would be more than happy for you to be a ship bloke as long as you find winners for them. That's the punters tend to think.
That's the main aim, and being able to do that for a little while now. Yeah. So glad to be on board.
Now, you live in Melbourne, but you specialise in South Australian racing. How did that come about?
Got a lot of family in SA.
Yeah.
Had a few horses over in SA, and then followed it for a number of years, and then put my hand to getting some tips out and all that, and pretty successful. So. Thought I'll keep doing it. Yeah,
good as gold. Now, I'm 44, how old are you?
35.
35. Well, I remember in the 80s I took a horse over to South Australia, and there was Cheltenham, there was Victoria Park, there was no inner track at Morphettville, and now it's either the inner or outer track at Morphettville. So South Australian racing's under a bit of pressure, it would seem, financially, but at least you know what you're going to get, either the swooping type track or a leader type track. Is that right? Is that too simplistic or not?
Yeah, it's a bit simplistic. The parks used to be very much a leader track. I mean, there's still track specialists there, but over the last 12 months, it's definitely been a lot more even. So, that's been a good thing. I mean, there's only 2 meets in the year where you're not at Morphettville, where you've got 2 at Oakbank, which is a completely different kettle of fish altogether.
That way?
Yeah. But generally at the moment, both tracks are playing even. The great thing about SA is you've got limited venues, you've got limited amount of horses, and the ones that do come from interstate, you can really, look at them whether they're just over for a bit of a late run at the end of a campaign, or they're really ones that are going to have a good crack.
Yeah. Now you said so the Morphettville Park, if that's less leader events, I mean, I love Moonee Valley Rail out. It's just manna from heaven for me. Owners might hate it if you've got swoopers, or it's up to you to scratch, but I love it when it's like that. So you're saying it's playing less leaderish. Doesn't that make it harder as a punter?
Not necessarily. I mean, when you really look at it, there's 2 tracks that are very similar in SA. I find that's Murray Bridge and the Park Circuit. Okay. They're both specialist tracks. Even though you still find that quite a few up on the pace will get up, it's really just horses for courses.
But is there anything wrong with the actual track itself now? Because I mean, my thing is always lane 1 at the athletics. They don't swoop down the outside, and people wrongly sometimes say that, there's something wrong with the track. Well, it's the quickest way home. So if leaders aren't winning so much, why? Is there something wrong with the track? Are riders working it out differently? Or
yeah, not necessarily. I guess the main thing has been the leaders. I think maybe the jockeys have worked it out a little bit more. I think the track's playing a lot fairer. I mean, when you get a new surface, it's going to take time for it to develop and understand. So, I mean, it's like, in the old days, late 90s, early 2000s at Caulfield, if you were on the rail and you're going, or, Moonee Valley, rail out Friday nights, well, it was almost a sure thing. But especially in the winter months, which we're in at the moment, that's something where you can see a bit more even.
How the dynamics changed in South Australian racing in recent times. I mean, Tinkler to throw up the stumps at all, you all know, is gone belly up. McAvoy's now taken over the Lindsay Park property. Hayes isn't as much of a player. Kavanagh isn't as much of a player. So who are the stables to watch, and who do you respect when they travel horses, conversely, from Victoria back into South Australia?
It's a pretty even field, actually. There's not really a dominant player at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a number of horses that do come across, especially this time of year, over to here in Melbourne. They're definitely in the market, and you can get them under the guard. I mean, even just from the Adelaide Carnival, like Linton went across and won the Stradbroke. Though a Victorian-based horse, the racing's strong enough.
Yeah.
Stable-wise, I don't mind the Stokes.
Yeah.
Philip Stokes, I think he's a pretty good trainer. When he brings his things across, they're pretty good. And Johnny Hine, he's been going quite well. He's one up and coming. Will Clarkin took a bit of time off. He's back in it, and I've got high grade for him.
I think the money, when people say a money stable or plunge stable, I think that's overrated nowadays because everything's so exposed. But who's the ones where if you rate something at $8 and all of a sudden you see it at $5, you think, well, this is definitely going to run a good race. In other words, the stable information gets out, the market reads it right, and you think, well, I might have assessed it somewhere there, but this is about to run there.
Yeah. I think sometimes the jollies are like that, not necessarily on their own accord, but their owners know when there's a good push for them, they'll have a good crack. I know the Kennelwells really love putting a bet on when they think their horse is a good go. They're the main 2 that I notice, especially the Kennelwells. When they're ready to go, they put a bit on it. So.
And what about jockey-wise? I mean, we saw Matt Nielsen, he came across to Moonee Valley one day and didn't do his homework properly and weighed over. And Tony McAvoy said, that's it, next time I travel, I'm only going to use Victorian or South Australian jockey. So we had to eat some humble pie. But is he still the dominant jockey in South Australia?
He is. I mean, he's a bit at the crossroads at the moment.
Is he? Yeah.
Look, I mean, the race at the moment is between Paul Gatt and Jamie Carr. I mean, Dominic Tunua, wherever he goes, he's quite special what he can do, and he gets things up at double figure odds as well as riding home.
Is he a mad confidence player? I don't follow South Australian racing that closely, but all of a sudden he seems the type. If he rides a double, he can ride fourth.
Yeah. Look, he's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, being in Victoria, he probably doesn't get the accolades other than if he does something during the carnival. So, I mean, and that's South Australian racing to a T. Anyhow, it's just that level underneath that doesn't get the exposure as much as it does for New South Wales and Melbourne. But definitely Jamie Carr is one to look forward to seeing. I can see her really, if she gets her opportunities in either Sydney or Melbourne, she can really make a fist of it because, I mean, she's only 17 and she's just dominating the circuit.
Now, what's your strength as a form analyst, do you think?
I always looking for the value.
Yeah,
always looking for value. I love playing Murray Bridge. I think it's a great place to play. I really love this time of year. The great thing about Morphettville at this time of year is it's a dry surface. It's very rare that you're going to get a heavy or a slow, and when you do, you can really nut them out.
Yeah.
But look, I really think I'm good at getting the value and getting them up. It's the best play. That's what we want. You want to back the winners.
Be honest, what's your weakness?
Weakness.
As a form analyst.
As a form analyst, probably not having enough time. It's one of those things, and hindsight's always a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You miss the occasional one. Sometimes I'll try and lay a favourite, which I think doesn't have the opportunities that it should. But we get them right sometimes, we get them wrong other times. That's the game.
And how much do you respect the on-course markets nowadays? Because obviously, I mean, we've seen some controversy in Brisbane about pathetic on-course percentages. And do you look at the fare? Do you look at the tote? Do you look at what actually is coming from on-course intelligence? Because it's its own dynamic, and when we're talking about a smaller market here.
Yeah, we are. I definitely look at fixed odds. I mean, the great thing has been over the last, with the emergence of online betting, the fixed odds are up a lot earlier. If you wanted to have a look or have a crack at anything in SA, you used to have to wait 5 minutes beforehand and then see. Probably not so much of what happens on track other than the big days.
Yep.
Really, I mean, I think at Bordertown tomorrow, there'll probably only be 1 or 2 bookies there. So it's hard. I think it's all to do with online betting for SA, and that's a market that really helps with the punter. And
is there enough liquidity in Betfair to respect the move, or is it, can be 8s into 4s, but that might be $50 that's been taken?
Yeah, it can be. Look, I probably don't play Betfair as much as I used to. When I did, the SA market would do that. But I guess it's the way you play, and I tend to not play Betfair at the moment. So. All
right, well, Jamie's stuff's available via My Stuff, which is the app this week, and then ongoing will be racetrackralphy.com.au as well. But you're also available through We Punt Racing. And,
wepuntracing.net.
What do they do? Go and don't look at the boys, but I'm happy to win the big back ourselves.
They've been up for about 12 to 18 months. A good bunch of blokes. Do a bit of stuff for Melbourne or carnivals, and then I've always got the SA content going in, so landed a few big winners there and big quaddies and so forth, which I'll do with you as well. Alright,
let's hope Jamie finds us lots of winners for South Australian racing. It's where he specialises in, as you've been able to tell. So get on board this week, punters.